I was doing research for my next video when I noticed something interesting. Dr. Doom's armor has a nose design, but none of Iron Man's MCU suits do. Now, this may seem like a small detail, but making a mountain out of a molehill is kind of my habit. So, I did a little digging, and what I found was actually pretty shocking. Because the absence of a nose isn't just a design choice. It's actually the result of Tony Stark's perfectionism and logic. And that's a pretty interesting detail. So I thought, why not make a short video on this? First, let's look at a little comic history, because Iron Man was originally introduced in the comics. And from there we get two stories about this. In the first one, Stan Lee himself was involved. Apparently, Stan Lee was walking around his office one day when he asked, "Why doesn't Iron Man's faceplate have a nose?" The editors took this as more of a command. And since Stan Lee at that time was basically the head of everything, like Kevin Feige is today, they added a nose to Iron Man's design in the comics. But when the nose was added, not long after, Stan Lee asked, why was this weird design added to Iron Man's faceplate? So, they removed it again. Later in 1974, for a short period of time, Iron Man's mask was given a nose again by artist George Tuska. His reasoning was that if the mask was completely flat, it might look a little inhuman. If Iron Man had to look slightly more human, then a nose should be added, just like Dr. Doom's mask. So he basically attached a small metallic protrusion, a tiny nose design on the mask. But fans absolutely hated it, and it quickly became a joke. That's why it was removed again, and since then, the noseless Iron Man design has continued to this day. The MCU also decided to show him the same way, and this time they had a logical reason behind it. Tony Stark isn't just a billionaire playboy and engineer. He's also a perfectionist. For him, the purpose of the armor isn't just to look heroic, but to be functional and battle-ready. Adding a nose to the helmet would have been an unnecessary protrusion that broke the symmetry of the mask. From a side view, compared to a smooth dome design, the nose looked awkward and clumsy. And for superheroes, aesthetics are also extremely important so that the intimidation factor isn't compromised in front of villains. Flat surfaces and sharp lines create a robotic, intimidating look, which you can clearly notice in Ultron's design. The in-universe reasoning also makes perfect sense because Iron Man's helmet is essentially a high-tech survival device. It already has built-in systems for air filtration and oxygen supply. That's why there's no need for a human-style nose design. If the helmet had a nose, it could compromise structural integrity. A metallic nose would become a weak point, and during a direct strike, it could expose a flaw in the armor. On top of that, Tony's HUD and sensors depend heavily on symmetry. Any irregularity, like a nose design, could create distortions in the holographic projections. So, a tiny detail like that could actually cause serious practical and technical problems. Aerodynamics is another big factor since Tony's suits are designed for high-speed flight. In aerodynamics, a smooth surface optimizes airflow and reduces drag. And here's a fun comparison. If you look at fighter jets or astronauts' helmets, you'll notice they don't have nose-like protrusions either. Every design principle focuses on smoothness and functionality. Iron Man's helmet follows the same principle, just with a slightly more futuristic and flashy style. Adding human-like features to Tony's helmet would only introduce risks and clumsiness, which he never accepted. By the way, the point I mentioned about symmetry isn't something I made up. It's actually referenced in the comics. You can clearly read that Iron Man removed the nose in order to maintain symmetry, and for that reason, it had to go. So, in short, there was never really any necessity for a nose design on Iron Man's faceplate. That's why it was eliminated. And if we look at it from today's perspective, it makes even more sense. With all the features packed inside the helmet, adding a nose design would have meant some compromises. If you don't already know what kind of features exist just in Iron Man's helmet, you can check out our other video where I explained it in detail. So guys, that's it for today. I hope now you've understood why Iron Man's suit doesn't have a nose design. That's all for today. See you in a new video with a new topic. Until then,